A good meal plan must consist of these three things. Okay, so first of all is macros, and that they're calculated specifically for your goals. Okay, so that means protein, carbs, and fats. Now, the same goes for micronutrients. However, you shouldn't need to worry too much about this as long as you're on point with your macronutrient selection. And you're eating a wide variety of whole foods, because that's where the micronutrients actually are. And the last thing is that the meal plan is enjoyable. No one wants to eat the same shit every single day and it tastes horrible, because it's gonna make it way harder to actually stick to your goals and actually get there if you're not enjoying the journey, right? Now, depending on whether you're looking to lose weight or gain weight, a meal plan is going to look very different, right? So I've got two examples that I'm about to show you. One is in a calorie surplus to gain muscle and gain weight, and the other one is in a calorie deficit to gain muscle and lose weight at the same time. Here is Dave. Dave is 30 years old, 5'10", weighs 90 kilos, and is about 20% body fat. So not too much, but not desirable either, as Dave wants visible abs. Now this picture probably isn't 20%, it's probably more like 25%, but it's the best I could find, so just bear with me now. So for Dave to have shredded abs, we want to get to around 12% body fat. But here's the kicker. Dave also wants to gain muscle as he loses weight. I know, right? Shocker. This is something all you idiots who think bulking is the only way to gain muscle are wrong about. It's also where most people like Dave go wrong, as he goes, shit, well, before I lose weight, let's bulk up a bit to gain a bit of muscle, and then they end up putting on 10 kilos and only 1 kilo of that is actually muscle. And now it's even harder to cut down as he's sitting at like 25 to 30% body fat now. Now you're probably thinking, how does one actually gain muscle while staying in a calorie deficit? Well, to build muscle, you need A, lifting weights, which is step one to kickstarting muscle protein synthesis, right? Which is the actual thing that builds muscle. And B, you need protein and ATP. ATP being energy, and you get energy from food, or you can pull it from stored body fat. You put these things together and magically you start growing muscle, getting stronger and looking better, right? Which is what me, you, and Dave all want. Right, so now that you have an understanding on our goal and how we are going to achieve it, let's dive into the actual plan. I've gone and put all Dave's information into Mifflin's BMR calculator. If you don't know, this calculator basically calculates your basal metabolic rate, and then after it's got your basal metabolic rate, it goes ahead and multiplies that by an activity level to get your estimated daily energy output, right? And for Dave, this is what we got. Okay, so after doing the calculations, we can see that Dave is sitting around 1867 for his BMR, and then once we add the multiplier for his activity level, as he's moderately active, so that means just daily training plus daily movement, as he's a tradie, we can see that his output is around 2890. Okay, so it gives us a lot of room to work with as he is pretty active, right? So therefore, for fat loss without killing training performance, we'll cut down on about 15%, right? That'll give us enough room to have enough carbs as well as protein to grow muscle while we cut down. Okay, so it's not too aggressive, so we still have some room for carbs and enough protein to actually build muscle. Okay, so our target intake, therefore, is around 2450 to 2500 calories a day. Okay, very achievable, right? And you'll see that in a minute once we go through the actual meal plan. Okay, so the macro targets here is 2.2 grams per kilo of body weight. So that's around 200 grams of protein a day. That's going to give us heaps for actually building muscle, right? And then our fats, we just put in 0.8 grams a kilo, so 70 grams of fats. This is very important because every single micronutrient, apart from a couple, actually only get absorbed through fat. Okay, so they're fat soluble. So you really do need fats, and fats do a heap of other things, right? But the huge thing here is getting fats in from actually good sources, so good fats. And then for the remainder, we've got 240 to 260 grams of carbs. This should be heaps for refueling in between training sessions and work, and giving us enough energy to actually progress towards our goals. Okay, so now progressing onto our actual meal plan. So I'll just quickly go over our daily totals one more time. So we've got 2,500 calories, 200 to 205 grams of protein, 250 grams of carbs, 70 grams of fats. So why this actually works for Dave. So high protein preserves and builds lean mass, Moderate deficit pulls fat off steadily while not being too aggressive, so we can actually still build muscle. Carbs placed around training, so performance stays high. Whole foods, better digestion, hormones, and recovery. Whole foods is the only thing you should be consuming. No metabolic slowdown, so no crash dieting as we're gradually decreasing the amount of food Dave's intaking. So we'll go over the meals, right? So we've broken this up into 5 meals. So you're still eating 5 times a day while on the cut, right? But they're just going to be smaller meals. But still very filling as we're using whole foods and lots of protein, so it should keep you full and fueled throughout the day. So meal 1 is breakfast. So we've got 4 whole eggs, 200 grams of egg whites, one large banana, and 1 teaspoon of raw honey. So why this works is it's fast digesting carbs, great if training early, so if he's training before work, or appetite is low, or just gives him heaps of energy if he's going to work first. Okay, so that's meal 1. Meal 2 is lunch. So lunch is a bit bigger, so 600 calories, 45 grams of protein, and this is lean beef mince, around 5 to 10%, and then 200 grams of cooked jasmine / basmati rice, large mixed veg serving, a bit of olive oil. And why this works is iron, zinc, B vitamins, support strength and testosterone while dieting, right? This is a big thing for Dave. Okay, now moving on to meal 3, I'll quickly speed run these last few. So calories, 450, 35 grams of protein, a little bit less on the protein because it's a pre-workout meal and we need more carbs. 180 grams of chicken breast, 300 grams potatoes or sweet potato. I really like using sweet potato, it is a great carb. And then we got some spinach or rocket. Not a big fan of rocket, so I'd probably go with spinach here. Why? Because low fat, carb heavy, so better pump, better output in the gym. Okay, so now moving on to meal 4. So this is dinner or post-workout. So he's just gone from work to the gym. We've got 550 calories, 45 grams of protein, and this meal is 180 grams of salmon or white fish. Fish is great, guys. Consume fish. 200 grams of cooked rice and some green vegetables. Why? Omega-3s for recovery, great for the gym. You guys got to be getting your omega-3s in. Try get it from fish if you can, or fatty foods, but if you can't, add some supplementation in there. Carbs to refuel glycogen without overeating, right? So great post-workout meal for the cut. Okay, and then meal 5 is before bed. So if you're craving something sweet, have this instead of that chocolate bar. It's got 300 calories, 30 grams of protein, so it's 250 grams of Greek yogurt, 20 grams of almonds or walnuts, and then some optional cinnamon just to add some taste. And then why is because it's slow digesting protein, it's great for your hormones, and then also it's that sweet treat. So you're not going to bed on an empty stomach and you can probably get to sleep a bit easier. Again, we'll quickly go over why this works for Dave. So it's high in protein, preserves and builds lean mass. Moderate deficit, so it pulls off fat slowly. It's not too aggressive, so we can actually still build some muscle in the gym. Carbs placed around training time, so this means your performance will stay high, pump's great, you're feeling strong in the gym. Whole foods equals better digestion, and they're great for your hormones and recovery. And there's no metabolic slowdown, so no crash dieting. It's a nice steady cut, and Dave should be feeling great. Okay, so now this is Tom. Tom is very lean, he's sitting around 12% body fat. So unlike before, there's not much stored fat to pull energy from. So we're going to have to get him to eat in a slight caloric surplus so the body actually pulls energy from food to kickstart muscle protein synthesis and build some serious muscle. Now, before you get excited and eat like shit just because you can now use the excuse of being in a bulk, studies show that you actually only need around a surplus of 83 calories to gain a kilo of muscle a month. However, I can tell you right now, we're not going to do anything close to that, well, at least naturally. So really, we only really need to be in a surplus of around 40 cal. However, no one really knows their maintenance level, not me, not you, it's just an estimate. Therefore, to be safe and leave no room for error, we're going to build out a diet that sits around 200 to 300 calories above maintenance. This guarantees that protein muscle synthesis actually occurs and Tom's body isn't destroying itself to pull energy to make this happen. Eating in a larger surplus, however, is just going to spike hormones that we don't want, and Tom will just put on extra body fat that will limit muscle growth. So we're just going to keep it at around 200 to 300 calories, which is a perfect healthy level. Right, so back into Mifflin's calculator, we can see that Tom's basal metabolic rate is sitting around 1767, and then his actual maintenance level, or TDEE, is sitting around 2830. So therefore we're going to target 3000 to 3100 calories. So it's sitting 200 to 300 above his maintenance. This is aggressive enough to grow, but clean enough to stay lean and healthy, right? So therefore, our daily totals, just like before with Dave, okay, we're going to aim for 2 grams, at least 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. So 165 to 175, carbs 370. So we need heaps of carbs so that he can keep training at least 5 times a week, or 4 times a week is great as well. And actually put on some size, right? And then also fats are great, so 80 grams of fats. Now, we'll jump into the actual meal plan here. So meal 1, breakfast, 4 whole eggs, 200 grams of egg whites, 250 to 300 grams potatoes, or 180 grams of cooked rice, and a piece of fruit. Now, if you don't like a heavy breakfast, okay, we can switch the breakfast meal for meal 2 here, which is our mid-morning meal, which is 250 grams of Greek yogurt, 30 grams of honey or maple syrup, go honey here, 20 grams of nuts, and a berries or banana. So if you like a bit of a lighter breakfast, just swap these 2 meals around, so you have the yogurt for breakfast, and then the eggs and cooked rice in mid-morning. And then for lunch, 650 calories, sorry, 40 grams of protein. So that's 200 grams lean beef or chicken, 220 grams cooked rice or pasta, vegetables, and cooked in some olive oil. Now, for our pre-workout meal, a little bit less on protein as it is. We need lots of carbs here, just like with Dave before. So this one is 450 calories, 30 grams of protein, chicken breast, potato or rice, and then some low fiber veg. Okay, you should be feeling great after this. Your workout should be amazing, and pump should be great. And then meal 5, so this is our post-workout or dinner. So salmon or white fish. This will give us our amino 3s, and heaps of protein, heaps of carbs to replenish our glycogen. So rice, vegetables, salmon and whitefish, great post-workout meal. Okay, so moving on to meal 6, this is our optional before bed meal. So it's pretty sweet, nice, enjoyable meal before bed. So you're not going to bed on an empty stomach, you can sleep pretty easy. So yeah, only use this if the appetite allows. So definitely use this on training days. It's 250 calories, 25 grams of protein, so 200 grams of Greek yogurt or cottage cheese, and then just a small handful of nuts, right? This is just going to seal the deal with the protein and the calories if you train that day. And yeah, you should be feeling great after this and get to sleep really easy. So we'll just go over our quick progress rules. So strength should be increasing each week only if you are training correct and progressively overloading, right? So if you're training like shit, strength probably isn't increasing and nothing's really increasing, right? You're not going to get 2 goals if you're not training right. So recovery time should be quite fast with the amount of carbs consumed. Because we're consuming heaps of carbs, recovery time should be super quick. You should be feeling great in every single workout. Therefore, your strength should be going up, and therefore your muscle should be going up as well, right? So adjustments. If there's no weight gain in the first 14 days, okay, following this diet, no cheating, all right, 14 days of strictly using this diet, then add 150 calories to the diet, right? If you're gaining more than 0.25 kilos a week, pull back on the calories by 150 calories. So it's basically the opposite of if you get no weight gain, right? And this just goes back to my point that the basal metabolic rate and the TDEE is just an estimate, and no one actually knows your actual rate. So Therefore, these adjustments are very important. If training performance drops, then add more carbs, not protein. Okay, carbs is what refuels the body. It's what your body uses in the gym for energy. And yeah, if performance is dropping, more carbs, not protein. Why this diet is ideal for Tom. Okay, so it keeps him lean while growing. Okay, like you don't want to be fat. You want to stay lean and put on muscle, right? That's what everyone wants. Okay, it's easy digestion. There shouldn't be any mental burnout because it's all healthy, whole foods. And it sets them up for a long muscle growth phase, not a crash bulk, okay? So it's a very steady, long phase of building muscle. And it's not just crashing in with a heap of calories. He gets fat, he feels like shit, okay? It's a long, nice, progressive journey until his goals. Right, so now that we've gone over both Dave and Tom, we can construct a little checklist to make sure that you're working towards your goals, regardless of whether you're cutting or bulking. Right, so calories and macros are set for your goal, whether that be cutting or building muscle or bulking, right? Protein sources come from a variety of animal sources. Okay, you're not just getting them all from whey protein powder. I fucking hate whey protein powder. So please try and get it from animal sources. Simple and enjoyable meals, okay? You don't want to overcomplicate it. So just make them super simple, you know, similar things each week, okay? You don't have to eat the same fucking bland chicken and rice every single day. However, try keep them simple so it's easy and you don't have to put a heap of stress into your diet. Like, you don't want to be stressing over everything you're eating. Make it super easy and enjoyable. Now, if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below, or if you need some more in-detail advice, hit me up on Instagram. I'll answer any of your guys' questions. And thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and got a lot out of it. Peace.